Thank you very much, Emmett. Thank you. Uh, so tonight's topic I thought would be like arresting from the topic that we touched upon last time. And I tried as much as I could to keep it out of the realm of abstract, but unfortunately we had to make a pit stop there. And you know what happens when you make a pit stop in the realm of abstract? You come out dizzy. You have no idea how you got in there, and you don't know when you even came out. And Emmett even mentioned that we should, he suggested that for us to touch upon the topic again. And I thought, oh, well, let's give everybody a rest. Otherwise, maybe the two or three people who were able to, uh, uh, not able to fall asleep, maybe they're the only one who might show up. But tonight's topic, the one that we're going to be discussing, is something that is very important to meditation. And this is something that I've been saying for quite some time now, and I think I've been saying this for like over 10 years now, if not even more, that we are making a transition, evolutionarily speaking, that we are now starting to see directly that there is this evolution taking place. And it's either you participate or you get dragged or thrown away or spit out. This is what evolution does. And what evolution is doing now is, I think, it's sort of framed very nicely. I went to the Shivananda ashram in the Bahamas, I don't know, a lifetime ago, and there was a beautiful rabbi who was giving a talk. Um, the talk that he gave was about paradigm shifts, and he was talking about how the the history or the transition of the shifts. And he said at first it was like our relationship with the divine or relationship with the universe, however it fits you, was the at first it was the relationship of king over subject, and then as we evolved, it became like uh, uh, father and child, or parent and child. And he said now we are making a transition into a third paradigm, and this paradigm is a paradigm of participation, a paradigm of partnership, where we are, and 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 this is what I'm referring to as the evolutionary phase, the evolutionary stage that we are in right now. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 2020. Sorry, it's something that's going to take some time for us to go through. But you can start to see the signs, and we can start making preparations here and now. And the preparations that we are making is not only preparations like for our future incarnation, so to speak, but also for the very body that we are embodying, this very body that we are going to sort of leave for the next generation, because we will transmit our genes to the next generation. And it doesn't matter whether or not you have children or not, okay? But by making changes in your own physical body, you're also helping uh, 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 humanity as a whole in making changes in their own physical bodies also. But the more direct change you make through your own body, then that direct change will be inherited more directly with your offspring, so to speak. Okay, so it's a evolutionary stage where it's not just the physical body going through a change, but also internally, our mind, our perception is also going through a phase. And the phase that it is going through is a more a phase of a deeper connection. It's almost as if during this parent-child phase, as the rabbi said it, I wish I could remember his name. Uh, it's like uh, we are children, and we are being taken care of. So the next phase is that there's more of a conscious participation. You know, mommy and daddy tell you do this, you do that, you go here, you go there, you eat this, you eat that, and then there's a sense of devotion, a sense of devotion is developed during that time. At first, the one was obedience. The second one is devotion. So this one is participation, cooperation. We have to cooperate. We have to participate now in our evolution. And if we do not participate in the evolution, we'll be dragged, where the change will not necessarily be the change that we want it to be. But when we participate, then we will be able to enter into that phase of participation and cooperation, where we are, you could say, co-creators. I think that's a nice term for it. Okay. And the reason I'm saying all that is because meditation plays a very important role in this. And there are very many methods of meditation, very different traditions of meditation. The reason that they are all called meditation because they share something in common. And what is it that they share in common? That's what we need to focus on. Meditation is, like I said, is key to how we will be able to consciously participate, be co-creators with the universe, with the divine. And we will end up with a definite change, a period, just like we are now in a period of change that is somewhat different than our previous ancestors. So in the future, we will be remarkably different. In our stage right now, we have, you could say, we have mastered technologies, so to speak, where we are able to, and it's still that parent-child kind of thing. The thing is being done for you. The computer is thinking for you, is doing things faster for you. Your telephone is holding your memories for you. So it's still that parent-child kind of thing. Even sometimes we put ourselves as the parent and then we relate as to the other as the child. But in this one, instead of being marveled by the technology of electronics or whatever that technology may be, we will see ourselves doing what the telephone, what our smartphone is doing. Okay, and even much more greater things than that. In that evolutionary stage, where you could say humanity will be in a state where they will have greater abilities, access to greater abilities, you could say, and there will be two kinds of humanities. Humanity will be basically three kinds. Those the dregs who didn't do anything, who got dragged, just happened to be around. They'll be like us. And the other two will be those who went through the transformation through meditation, through inner work, and those who did it through technology. And we know this is happening already, right? So, and a lot of people will be enticed to go to the way of technology because it will seem easier. But like everything with technology, they have their side effects, where the inner work doesn't have the side effect. Okay. All right, so we're going to do a meditation. The meditation that we're going to do is going to be about 15 minutes. And just like before, I'm not going to guide you. I'm just going to let you be, okay? I'll guide in the very beginning, and then I'll let you be, okay? Just consider this thought in some way or another, okay? What is referred to as the ultimate nature of reality, or in a poetic way, our enlightened nature, our enlightened potential, our Buddha nature, or Tathagata Garbha, in whatever way you want to say it, right? All these things are the same. The non-dual state of realization. Okay, don't get scared. I'm not going back to that. Okay, come back. Just consider that to be here and now. It is not hidden. It is here and now. And by here and now, we are referring to whatever is going on here and now. Just have your mind go in that direction if you want something to do. Okay. If you have something else to do, go ahead, do it. So 15 minutes, right? And just try to rest there. Don't fight. Don't grasp. Don't push away. But just be curiously present with having that idea in your mind, right? So we'll begin. So make sure you sit in a nice posture that is conducive to meditation. Okay. And have a beautiful communication with your body, with your mind, that you're going to enter into the space that we call meditation. And what makes it different than our regular state is that it is a means through which we are accessing and abiding in ever more subtle, ever more powerful means, powerful means of achieving meaningful transformation. And once you have that communication communicated to your body, listen to the intelligence in the body responding. It wants to cooperate. So get into that groove of that cooperating energy, cooperating effort. And when you feel like making adjustments in the body, understand that it is a communication that you're receiving from this intelligence in the body. It's helping you go as deeply as you can, access as subtle of a state of awareness as possible, so you can have a more powerful, effective way of arriving at transformation. Let us first witness ourselves actually entering the meditative state. Do a nice, gentle scan of the body, making contact with the signs that are present there, the calm, the pleasantness, and welcome them. Celebrate their presence. Rejoice witnessing them to whatever degree, to whatever measure that they are present. The legs, relax, notice the signs, rejoice. The torso, upright, comfortable, stable. Notice the signs, the calmness, the pleasantness. Relax, rejoice. Notice the signs in the arms from the shoulders all the way to the fingers, relaxed. Rejoice, witnessing the signs. Be aware of the signs in the center, the head and neck. Relax. The mouth, teeth, tongue, let them rest in their natural places. Rejoice as you witness the signs there. In the muscles of the face, in the muscles of the forehead. Rejoice witnessing the signs even in your eyes as they rest softly. Feel energetically, feel cognitively, feel with as much awareness as you have of all that constitutes your being right now. Right on the edge, about to fully enter, fully commit to the meditative space. feel that sense of readiness, ready in your intentions, ready in your motivation. On the bridge, about to make the last step to fully commit yourself to enter into that space. And the way we make that commitment is with a nice deep breath in through the nose and out the mouth. And as you breathe out the mouth, you completely release, let go physically, energetically, just let go and allow the experience to be, to just be and be aware of it. So through the nose, gently, fully breathe in, and through the mouth, completely release. Physically, mentally, let go, let go, let go, energetically, let go, let go, let go. Notice the signs, enhancing, rejoice, keep letting go, stay in that momentum of letting go, stay in that momentum of letting go, leave the breath alone, just stay in that momentum of letting go, keep letting go. And if you wish, once more time, once more, scan your system, noticing the signs, rejoicing, with making contact with the signs, noticing the enhanced state in the body, in the breath, in the mind. And consider whatever is happening is the meditation, is your meditation. Whether there is an inner focus or an outer focus, whatever is going on, is that's your meditation. And notice the other signs, the signs pointing to clarity, the signs pointing to natural radiance, the vividness of experiences, the distinctiveness of experiences. This is my body, this is my breath. That's a sensation that is tactile, it's warm, it's cool, it's vibrating, however it is felt, whether that's what you're experiencing, or an inner sound, or visions, colors, shapes, coming, going. Consider them with joy, rejoicing as the signs. That's the clarity part. That's the radiance part. And within that, let's stabilize with 3 full breaths through the nose, gently, fully breathe in. And again, through the mouth, just let go. Let go in the body, let go in the breath, let go, let go, let go. Feel yourself, feel that momentum of letting go. Feel that momentum enhancing the signs, making the sound, inner sound louder, the visions brighter, crispier. Stay, stay. Let the breath come back by itself. And a second full breath through the nose, breathe in. And through the mouth again, just let go. Notice the moment when you feel, when you seem either, however long it may have lasted, you've touched something, something that has the sense of profundity to it. May not have been clear, but it has a sense of being profound. Stay connected to it, even in your memory. Stay connected to it as you take the next full inhalation in through the nose. And again, out the mouth. Let go, 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 let go in the body, let go, enjoy it, let go in the mind, let go in the breath, let go, stay in that momentum, leave the breath alone, just stay in that momentum, stay with the breath alone. Rejoice as you witness the signs being enhanced, the inner sensations in enhancing, strengthening, becoming clearer, more vivid, more present. Make it that joyful acknowledgement that you are in the meditative space, that you are indeed right now, you have accessed and you're abiding in a more subtle consciousness. The strength of the clarity, the radiance, the calm, the pleasantness, these are signs of having done so. To reinforce the mind that it is going, it is accessing what it has intended to access. This is nourishing the mind with what is called nourishment of accomplishment. And gently raise your attention to the level of your eyebrows. Make connection with your potential in whatever form, in whatever way that feels palpable and real to you. Even if it's just the reality of it is just curiosity. Knowing that what you're aspiring to already exists and it's calling you. So have deep respect for it, deep trust of it, and deep gratitude towards it. This is your teacher, your guide, your protector. So whichever of the signs is strongest for you, that seems to be a beautiful guide to be able to take you deeper and deeper. Stay with it. And don't be attached to it. Maybe another one might come up. And just stay aware that you're journeying to deeper levels and hold on to that wonder of the ultimate nature, my Buddha potential, my enlightened potential is right here, right now. Okay, get ready to come out. First, witness the signs, the strength. Rejoice, witnessing whatever measure of the signs that's present. Make the intention to come out. And with that intention, take a nice deep breath, feel it through the nose, and out the mouth. And deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings, your sense of touch. Be aware of the temperature again, be aware of the feel of the clothing on you, be aware of the different sounds, the colors, the shapes, the lights, the shadows. All right. I did talk a lot during that meditation, though, even though I said I would just leave you alone. But I couldn't help it. I had to stick my. Okay. So, since I left you alone for at least for a little bit, I gave you an opportunity to witness your mind meditating. And yes, there what you might call, there are uh, classic we say definitions of what constitutes to be a meditation. And in a general sense, there's also experiences that we have that we can also call meditation. But in order for us to, interestingly, in order for us to experience what I refer to as the classic meditations, which are which are in essence an absorption in a subtle state of mind, a conscious absorption in a subtle state of mind. And there are various levels of subtle states of mind. So depending on the subtle of the level of the subtle state that you achieve, that you are abiding in, that determines the strength and the power of the meditation. The more subtle, the more powerful. And powerful in reference to, I mean, the reason for entering a meditative state is to come out with some kind of transformation, right? Whether it is in your behavior, whether it is in your habits, or whether you're understanding a sense of connection. So that's what I'm referring to as the transformation, that you go into it in one way and you come out slightly different in one way or another. The space or the degree to which you are able to immediately experience this transformation, that's what is determined by the power within which you're doing the meditation. The more subtle the consciousness, the more subtle the state of mind that you access, the more powerful the meditation is. Okay. Yes, the more powerful the state of meditation is. So before you go into meditation, and if you studied the text about meditation, they give you a whole list of different things that are considered to be obstacles to meditation. And what we are referring to here, what are the two things that we are talking about here, agitation and dullness. And this is just nice translations of different terms. Uh, uh, but there are other obstacles to meditation. And the other obstacles are not really obstacles to meditation, but rather obstacles to actually sitting down to meditate. Like laziness, for example, or being discouraged about sitting to meditate. So those are not actual obstacles to meditation, but rather obstacles to make you sit down to meditate. Once you decided to sit down to meditate, the real obstacle is distraction. And it is distraction that is sort of divided into agitation and dullness. And these are the two kinds of when we are actually sitting down to meditate, that's that's what is preventing us from being able to access those subtle levels of consciousness. And we need to be able to clearly recognize what they are in order for us to deal with them when they actually do take place. And the strange thing is, the fact that we are able to be aware of them is itself a sign of making progress. It shouldn't be there shouldn't be an indication for you, a means for you to become discouraged. The very fact that you are aware that they are occurring, you should rejoice, you should celebrate, you should have a party. Oh, look at my mind, it's completely dull. Woo, I discovered it. Look at my mind, it's running around and all over the place like a wild animal, a wild elephant. The elephant is the animal that they use as a metaphor for the mind. Okay, so when you actually acknowledge it, that is an actual sign that you're making progress. And your mind, as you make progress, these two will behave, will appear differently. Okay. I'm not going to go into especially those of you who have familiarity with the teachings, especially within the Tibetan tradition, about the 9 stages, because I have to say, I know a lot of people who are able to recite the 9 stages and the sub 9 and the sub of 2 and the sub of 1. They're not really necessarily, knowing the 9 stages doesn't necessarily automatically make you able to be a great meditator. Okay. And as a matter of fact, it becomes a point of discouragement for a lot of people. Oh my goodness, 9 stages, and each stage has this much stage in it. And then you have people who say, at what stage am I? Am I on the 8th stage or the 9th stage? Have I reached that yet? So we're not going to talk about the 9 stages because that's more for scholars, okay? If you want to have a scholastic understanding of that, when you can go and look it up, the 9 stages of meditation. And some people are completely confused as to what the 9 stages refer to and what the last stage is supposed to be about, the 9th stage. Okay. So the thing is, in your journey in meditation, you will experience your mind in a certain way. When it feels like you're not able to hold attention the way you want to hold attention, the forces that are sort of pulling and pushing and disturbing the capacity to hold attention, they are described in general as distraction. And it is, distraction is now, the main kinds of distraction are dullness and agitation. And agitation is what we sometimes experience, or what we call as the mind running, not wanting to stop. Okay, your mind goes one thought after the other, one thought after the other, one thought after the other. And dullness is really an energetic experience. It's a sense of sleepiness, a sense of dullness, a sense of fogginess that you experience while you're meditating. Each of these remember what I said, when you are actually able to witness or look at my mind running around, or look at my mind being dull, that's a great, I'm gonna say great, okay? That's a great progress. That's a great sign of progress, okay? And you must have that attitude that you are making progress, not in a way to, to inflate ego or anything like that, but to encourage the mind to recognize that this habit that it is used to, now you're labeling it. It's not just some mindless thing that is taking place. Now you are labeling that, you are noting it what it is. And by noting it and knowing exactly what is it that you're directing attention towards, so there's a sense of recognition. Oh, this is not where we're supposed to stay. Okay? So there is that taking place when you're making that noting in your mind. And as you're meditating, the kind of the way we experience dullness, especially the way we experience agitation, is through discursive thinking. Discursive thinking, the inner dialogue that takes place in your mind. And there are different ways of also experiencing that. And the different ways of experiencing them also is a sign of the progress that you're making. At first, the dullness and the agitation is experienced in such a way that only after, when you're being dragged by dullness, when you're being dragged by agitation, do you recognize, oh, I think that was dullness, or I think that was agitation. You're not able to recognize it as they're happening. Your mind is basically being pulled here and pushed there, and then you have, in terms of power, you have no sense of power of being able to direct attention. And interestingly enough, it is in exercising this ability of directing attention that itself creates agitation and itself creates dullness. Dullness in the sense of you've expended so much of whatever little energy that you're able to tap into to hold attention where you want to hold it, that you feel exhausted. It exhausts you. You're not able to hold more energy than you did before, and when that energy is depleted, then you start to experience dullness. So dullness is it's definitely connected to energy. And what's beautiful about knowing this is that this energy is coming from many part of your system. There's physical energy, there's mental energy, and they have to be in balance. They have to be encouraging each other. And if there is too much physical energy, it will cause agitation. If there is too much mental energy, that will cause agitation. So you have to somehow in your practice find a balance between the physical and the mental energy. Now, if we are used to not taking care of the body, not taking care of our mind, not taking care of our emotions, we have an imbalance where we exercise, get more used to invoking energy in the body, or making energy in the body become more vibrant, or making energy in the mind more vibrant, or making energy in our subtle systems more vibrant. But there's an imbalance. Then that will make us experience different kinds of agitation. Okay. Now, when there is the habit of not taking care of the body, where the body is energized sufficiently, then the lack of energy in the body will drain the mind of its energy. And that will give us a sense of dullness, a sense of fogginess, a sense of sleepiness. Or the reverse, where in the mind there's a lack of energy, and then now it's draining whatever energy the body needs to balance the effort to hold attention, but the energy is not sufficient, then we experience a dullness. Okay, so that's one way of experiencing dullness. And the reason I'm talking about it, I'm going to spend a little bit of time about it. That's the kind of dullness that, without knowing, that we are actually more likely to experience. And the indication that tells us, I better take care of my body. I better take care of what I allow and entertain in my mind. I must pay more attention to that. Is how you experience the dullness. Okay. If the lack of energy in the body is experienced not only when you're sitting down to meditate, but also throughout the day, then you should look into what is it that you're putting into your body. What is it that you're putting into your body? Remember, there's no complete separation between the body and the mind. They affect each other. So what happens eventually, one day you will be able to experience such facility, such ease of being able to hold attention, of being able to dive deep into consciousness and being able to access subtle levels of consciousness with ease, where you can do that without necessarily depending so much on how the body, the physical body, is being experienced, the state of the physical body. So until you're at that stage, you have to take care of the body, okay? And interesting enough, in order for you to get to that stage where you can neglect how the body is, so you can still be able to go to deep levels of meditation, you have to have a strong a strong habit of having taken care of your body so much that now the body is sort of like has given a momentum to the mind, a momentum to directing attention so much that you're no longer dependent on the body's condition anymore. And you will need this especially when the body is encountering shock and being able to, even though the body is being traumatized, the body is in shock, that does not affect your capacity to enter meditation. But until then, the body is going to very much influence and affect the level of meditation that you're able to access. And one of the signs of the body needs attention is experiencing a certain kind of dullness, even though when you're meditating, the dullness that you're experiencing is a kind of dullness that is felt mostly in the mind, but it's really a byproduct of something in the body also affecting the mind. Okay. So that's very, very important. And that's why they make, it seems like a trivial thing when they talk about the preparation for meditation. They say something very fast about diet without even going into it. And they say something very fast about your environment without saying much, without going too much into it. They go a little bit deeper into it than diet. But because when it comes to diet, you know, people are very, people are very, very defensive about the choice of food, because it's driven by something, you know, not necessarily, not saying it isn't for everybody, but it's not necessarily driven by logic. Okay. We have that diet because we like it. Not because it makes sense, that because we like it. Okay. It satisfies something. That doesn't necessarily have to be with health. Okay. So, and we have to become very careful, become very mindful of that. Okay. And I'm going to say something, I'm going to seem to digress a little bit as a sign of that. Notice what's happening with this, believe me, I know there are people with different thoughts as to what's going on, that what the world is experiencing right now. But the thing is that the world is experiencing something, okay? As to exactly what the meaning of it is, as to where it comes from, what's actually happening, I have no idea. But the thing is, the world is experiencing something, and I know it because when I go outside, I see it, okay? So that kind of thing. And here is the connection that I'm talking about. It's interesting to note that modern countries, modern in the sense that they have great access to processed food. They get their food not from their farm, not from their garden, but from an aisle somewhere in a big warehouse somewhere, right? In those places, this condition that is taking on in the world is affecting those people more than those places where people are more connected to nature, where their food actually more comes from, they actually plant their food, they cook their food, so they have more of a participation in what they put into their system. Okay, and interestingly enough, and those are the so-called less developed countries. And look what's happening. in those so-called less developed countries. I'm not saying this is the general thing. I'm not saying this is exactly what it is, that every single less developed country is exactly the same, but in the general picture kind of thing. I mean, you look at the maps, right? Those countries which are supposed to be less developed, most of them, they don't have as many cases as those countries supposed to be developed. And what is, and the connection that I am pointing to, that I think is there, is that connection to consciously conscious intake, driven by not so much, I'm not saying that they're not driven by desire as to what they eat, but what is available in the natural of what is available, okay? So the reason I'm pointing to that is to demonstrate that indeed our state of mind, indeed what we take in determines our general health of the body and also the health of the mind. When there's too little, there's a problem. When there's too much, there's also a problem. Too little of nutrition, too much of this and that. So some people can have too much vitamin D, so to speak, kind of things like that. So we have to on our own, find what is the balance for us. And that's the only thing I'm going to say, I can say about diet, because what works for me may not work for you, and what works for you may not work for me. And we have to develop the sensitivity of connection to our own, that's the intelligence within our body to know what's good for it and to know what's not good for it. Like, for example, bread may be wonderful for you. It helps you achieve shamatha, but it will create great dullness in my mind. Okay. So we can't have a general form of diet that says no bread because it's not good for me. Okay. Or you can say, hey, everybody eats bread because it's good for me. Okay. So you have to determine what's good for you and what's not good for you. And whatever criteria you want to use to determine what you take. And the criteria will also, it plays a part also in what you intake in terms of determining whether or not in the meditation, whether or not you're experiencing dullness or not. Okay, so that's one form of dullness. That's what you might call the gross dullness. The dullness due to outside influence. The dullness due to the materiality of what is participating in this meditation. The body is participating in the meditation. Okay, and it is contributing to the meditation. If it doesn't have energy to help us when we are trying to hold attention, then we will experience dullness. If we don't have energy in the mind to be able to hold attention, then we will experience dullness. That's gross dullness. So that's the first thing we should look into: our environment, our diet, and also our movement. Are we moving? Are we exercising? Okay, and we don't have to be, do strenuous exercise or anything like that, but some form of exercise that gives you a sense of aliveness, some sort of movement of body that gives you a sense of that there's you make contact with energy in the body. Okay, and it may not seem to be important, it may not seem to be relevant, because in the monastery, when you're being taught to meditate, they don't spend too much thing on that. They spend a lot of time on the 9 levels, very cerebral. It's only when you're actually starting to meditate, then they start to give you this little advice. Oh yeah, stop eating chapatis. That's why you're experiencing dullness. Okay, or they might even tell you, okay, your condition is such now. Eat this food or eat that food. Okay, but because it's so such an individual thing, they cannot just put it in there. Eat this or eat that, or avoid this or avoid that. One general thing that they do sort of state is to avoid food that will now agitate. So I talked about the lack of nutrition, which gives the sense of dullness. There's also certain food that actually encourage agitation. That is, there's certain food that actually makes it so that the experience that you have in a meditation, you can't stop your thought. It seems to be just running, always running. It goes from one thought to one thought to one thought to one thought, one thought. There could be certain food also associated doing that. The general guideline that they usually recommend, they say avoid those kinds of food, and they give examples like garlic and onions. I already don't like onions, so I'm good. But it doesn't mean that onion is the devil. You should, there should be a protest against all onions or anything like that. If you're against garlic, or they should protest against garlic, because there are certain there are certain meditation experiences that you may be having where what you're missing is onion, where what you may be missing is garlic, and you may have to take garlic to help you. So if you don't feel enough energy, so that might help you. Okay, so that's where the balance comes in. So what you take in, what you do or overdo, what you don't take or should take, will determine the experience of dullness and the experience of agitation. So that's the very first thing that we should pay attention to. Are those things balanced? Are those things present? Then you can start, and once you've addressed that, then you can start now addressing the more subtle things, the things that are mainly happening within the mind, within the what you might call the energy body, or within the mind. Okay, so that was the gross body, the physical body and environment. They contribute to that. We take care of that. Now we have the energy and the energy body and the mental body. So even after taking care of that, now after you've taken care of that, understand why is the mind distracted. If you understand why the mind is distracted, that will help you address the conditions of dullness and agitation. Sorry, I wish I had done my research and be able to find the texts where the Buddha mentioned what I'm about to somewhat paraphrase, where someone asked the Buddha a question. I've been practicing for a long time. Why is it I'm not getting any experiences? The Buddha said, because you're not really interested. Okay. Paraphrasing, okay? It could have been ill man. That could have been the direct word. I don't know. So, and the thing of you, because you're not interested, is the key to being distracted, is the key for the mind running after something. The reason that the mind is running after something is not only the habit of, because this is the condition that we have trained the mind to be in mostly, constantly running after things, constantly thinking thoughts, constantly doing this. And yes, there are some people, very few people who somehow did fall into this habit where they don't have this kind of thing. But for the most part, people experience, because when you're, I'm sure when you were teaching someone about meditation, those who were discouraged were the ones who said, "Oh, I can't meditate because my mind keeps running. I can't stop my mind from running." Okay, so that's an aspect of agitation. Okay. What's Berzin calls it flightiness, which is a cute term, flightiness. Okay. So if you don't like agitation, Berzin has a nice term for you, flightiness. Okay. Now, why is the mind flighty? The mind is flighty because of attachment. Okay. The mind wants to run after things because of the habit of attachment. Now, there's an intricate thing involved here. And it's not like you one day sat down and say, I don't like this quiet in my mind. Let me start some agitation. Attachment. Let me get that cranked up so it becomes automatic, so it becomes spontaneous. No, there is no conscious decision for that to take place. But since no conscious decision for that to take place. How is it that it is present here in the mind? This is the process. Okay. As we are living, we have different experiences through our senses, through all our senses. That's how we make contact, right? That's what is the most evident way of making contact with what we call real, through the senses. We hear things, we see things, we touch things. So it's through the senses, which are just there. We don't have to necessarily have to train them, right? So senses we contact with what we call what appears to be the world, right? With others, environment, with things, we make contact with senses. In the making contact through the senses, we have an experience. We have an added experience. And what is that added experience? Oh, I like this. Oh, I don't like this. I like this. I don't like this. By going through that, I like this. I don't like this. There is no conscious participation in that. I like this. I don't like this. The liking this could have been completely something that is, it's a condition that you have no idea why you may like something, but you find yourself liking it. You may find yourself liking something and you have no idea why you don't like it, but it's there. You like it and you don't like it. Okay, what you see, what you hear, what you make contact with your senses. And as we are having this experience, we are cataloging. I want this, I don't want this. I want this, I don't want this. As we are cataloging, we are creating momentum. We are creating habit. We are doing that. As we are doing that, creating this habit, creating this momentum, I want, go in that direction. I don't want, stay away from that. Going towards what we want, what we will like, what we want to have a pleasant experience with. That's what we want to go in that direction. Okay. So we have in our memory, this is what we have, this is the reality that we have unconsciously created. By making contact through our senses, we experience pleasant experiences. Okay? And this is ingrained in our system. Through contact with our senses, we make contact and then we have pleasant experiences. And that's what we remember. And that's what is sort of has become automatic. Okay. At the same time, also, we recognize that, and it's not a conscious recognition. It's not a kind of or conscious wisdom, so to speak, that is a recognizing of what is actually happening. But it's all automatic. When I go to that with the intention, with the idea, with the hope that it will please me, it may please me for a while, but after a while, it's no longer pleasing. And because it's no longer pleasing, now I go to make contact with something else so I can be pleased. And because this is happening very fast, so this is where the mind develops distraction, because we you could say, with misunderstanding, not fully understanding the nature of our experience, want pleasant experiences. And the memory of how we had pleasant experiences is through the senses making contact with something. So this is ingrained within us and it becomes automatic, right? Now, you're sitting down trying to meditate. And as you meditate, you're not in contact through your senses anymore. The habit in the mind, just for the sake of talking, right? Desperately wants to make contact with what pleases it. It desperately wants that. And when it is with something that it finds unpleasant, it wants to get away from it. It wants to go after something that will make it. Different things will give you, will give different people different pleasure. And pleasure does, I'm not talking necessarily pleasure in the sense of, you know, the kind of pleasure where, oh, I love chocolate ice cream kind of pleasure, okay? It could be a pleasure in a sense of, remember a long time ago, I mentioned the sense of fulfilling the nature of my being. It's connected back to that, okay? Like if the sense of worrying, even though it might be unpleasant to me, but if worrying somehow is connected with a conviction that that's how I fulfill the nature of my being, for what, however that conclusion came to be. So we cling to worrying because we believe that's what we need to do. And this is not conscious. Remember, all this is automatic. Okay? We were conditioned either consciously or unconsciously to have this immediate reaction. Okay? So what your mind may be going toward, you say, wait a minute, thinking about the things that worry me are not pleasant. What are you talking about? My mind is going towards pleasant thing. Okay, so that's what I'm referring to, where the mind feels I'm fulfilling what I need to fulfill to fulfill my being, and somehow I am conditioned to be convinced that worrying fulfills that. So the mind now wants to fulfill that. So it goes into every once in a while it goes into that worrying. Okay. Now, so you have sort of like the background where distraction is coming from. Okay, so that's the background. We set the background. Now you're sitting down, trying to meditate. You took care of the diet. You took care of your exercise. You took care of your environment. It's attractive and makes you feel like, yeah, this is a space for me to meditate in. You've taken care of that. Now you're sitting down and your mind, that habit, maybe now that everything is taken care of, the mind has reached a certain level of steadiness, a certain level of rest. The very strong unconscious conviction are now making themselves apparent. The energy of habit is now making itself apparent. And this is where the Buddha said, because you're not interested, comes in, okay? Because you did not convince yourself the breath is worthy of an object for me to hold my attention on. When you try to hold your mind breath, the mind wanting to fulfill its function, its definition, the mind habituated to running after things so it can experience some kind of pleasantness, is not convinced the breath will fulfill that. It runs after something else. It runs after the thought of worrying. It runs after remembering the sight, remembering the sound, remembering the things connected somehow to the senses. Okay? So that's where the habit of distraction comes from. So it is a habit. It is not the nature of the mind to be distracted, but rather a habit that the mind has been trained to. You could say the mind has been tricked to distract itself, where it is convinced that through what we are experiencing, what we are now calling distraction, the mind is convinced it is fulfilling the nature of its being. It's actually getting to experience pleasantness. Okay. So now you're sitting down. That might be the first thing. So how do you counter this? The way to counter this is to understand the interest that we have. Being interested in something is contrived. Thank goodness it is contrived. Okay? You can make yourself be interested in anything. Even if at the initial stage, you can't stand it. The mind is powerful enough to change that around. Okay. Some people probably couldn't stand cigarettes, and somehow they change minds when they smell cigarette. Oh my goodness, oh, cigarette. Okay, right? And now cigarette becomes this most beautiful thing, and then you can't stop get into it. But you could have started where you made your mind that this is the most disgusting thing. I don't know how people do this thing, and now here you are, you're going after it. Okay, so this is what I mean. Interested in something, liking something is contrived, and then thank goodness. Okay, at first it will be artificial. It would not have a sense of realness to it, but you can sort of tap into the sense of you can tap into the sense of where what okay, here it is, here it is. When you are meditating and you see your mind going towards a particular direction, understand the mind is seeking, the mind is justified to seek what it is seeking. Okay, you shouldn't chastise the mind and say, why are you moving? But rather understand that the mind is not convinced by staying with this boring thing, in breath, out breath. It's not going to fulfill its meaning. It's not going to fulfill its definition. So it goes after what it remembers, give it a sense of purpose, a sort of pleasantness, and it goes after them. Okay. So understanding that that's what the mind is seeking. Now you have to somehow convince the mind, hey, what you're looking for in worrying, what you're looking for in remembering that color, that shape, that sound, you will find it in breath. Just trust me. Just stay with the breath. And now you stay with the breath with a curiosity, not brainwash yourself that the breath has bliss in it, but rather with an open-minded curiosity. I wonder if I can find in the breath what our mind is naturally looking for in whatever it is whatever your mind naturally goes to. Okay, whether it's remembering what you did during the day at work. The reason that the mind is going there because the mind thinks it's fulfilling a meaningful purpose by going there. Okay, and it may be pleasant, it may not be pleasant, but at the end of it, by doing it, it believes it will encounter the pleasant. It will encounter contentment, satisfaction. That's what it believes it will be at the end of that. Okay, so when you're beginning to experience the mind moving, remember in the beginning it will be way after. Okay, oh, my mind was distracted. Okay, but when okay, this is now the time to talk about a particular experience. Okay, so agitation and dullness. I remember the first experience of them is way after the fact, where you were just dragged here and there. You were just you were just dragged. You had no control whatsoever. It's way after. Oh, I felt a. Oh, you thought you already answered the the question to why life exists and all that kind of stuff. You solve all the problems of the world already, and now you're back. Okay, way after the fact. So now, if you enter the meditation with that curiosity, where you're not going to stop the mind from doing what it's been trained to do, but rather to just be aware of it. You're not going to stop the mind from going that direction or that direction, but you're just going to be aware of it. And you're going to have an experience when, I'll say this, when you arrive at this experience where instead of being dragged, so there's the sense of being dragged. That's the lowest experience. The second experience, there's a sense of I am participating. I am deliberately thinking those thoughts. I am deliberately thinking about what happened at work. there's a sense of participation, and these experiences have degrees to them, where you're dragged and then you participate, or you initiate the participation and then you're dragged. Okay, so there's participation, and it's a palpable inner experience. I am participating in this agitation. Okay, I'm participating in it. So that's the second phase. The, and when you find yourself in that phase that you're participating, and this is where at first people become discouraged. This phase is actually a wonderful stage. It means you're making progress. This is where a lot of people say, I can't do this anymore because I'm thinking too much. When you're aware of your participating in the thinking too much, that's a wonderful stage of progress. Congratulate yourself, rejoice. Okay, now you are on, you have made headways and you're about to experience the third stage. Not the third as if there's only three, but you're going to experience this third stage where agitation is still being experienced, where you're meditating on the breath. And just like before you were just dragged and you lost. It's like what you might call blackout drunk. Okay, you have no idea how you drove yourself home, but there you are, you drove yourself home. You were blackout drunk. Okay. In the second phase, you're aware. Oh, look at me saying all these silly things. Look at me walking wobbly. You're aware. Okay. The third stage is a sense of being possessed. And I'll explain what that means. Okay, you're not going to find this in any manual. Oh, where does it say a sense of being possessed? You're not going to find that. Okay, I'm just describing the experience, how it feels like. A sense of being possessed is where you're minding your business. your attention is staying, it seems like, on where you want it to stay, and all of a sudden there's this thought that pops up in your mind, it seems like all by itself, and you don't feel that you've conjured up that thought, but you're not dragged by it. You're not experiencing like blackout drunk kind of experience. Okay? You're not participating, but there it is showing itself. When it shows itself, it is sort of taunting you. I can grab you, I can grab you. Okay? So depending on your staying power that you have developed up to this point, you can stay there, keep watching it, where you know you're not thinking that thought, and there's that thought in your mind. And it seems like now your mind has a mind of its own. And it's almost feel as if the mind is possessed. There's some other thing, some other being thinking in your mind, thinking. That's a wonderful stage to be able to have that, where the experiences, you could say, seems to be happening to you rather than you making them happen. Like what I'm talking about is instead of you consciously thinking the thought seems to pop up in your mind without you invoking them. That's a wonderful stage. You've actually reached a beautiful depth in your meditation when experiences seem to be happening to you like that. And this experience you will need in the same way where the spontaneous thought just arises in your mind all by itself, and there you are looking at it, while you're actually seeming engaged in something else. And there's the other thought in your mind. There's a thought that you are maybe creating or engaging in, and there's this other thought all by itself appearing into your mind. The way that it appears to you is what is something you want to cultivate. You want to be able to cultivate the capacity of observing experiences in the mind the way that thought happens appear to your mind all by itself. That is a kind of agitation, which is you might call this a kind of a more evolved way of being agitated. Okay. Okay. And the same thing with the dullness also, where you're not even aware that your mind is dull, you're just dull. And where you end up is you just fall asleep. Or you end up where it's so heavy in the body, so heavy in the mind that you really can't hold anything. You just have no energy for holding attention. In the second phase for dullness is that it's present and there seems to be a struggle. You have some ability to hold your attention wherever you want to hold it, but at the same time, every once in a while you find yourself subject to it. Now, the third stage, which is really advanced, which is a sign of advancement. Okay, so because some RD, this is the journey that we are going towards, which means collecting the mind. So think of our awareness as being scattered, attention as being scattered into various pieces. And when we are meditating, we're sort of collecting those different pieces into one. And as we are collecting these different pieces into one, it's a very, very strenuous, energetically, inwardly energetic activity to do. And because we are collected, listen very carefully now, because we have collected the mind, because of having collected the mind, the first experience that we have of having collected the mind is a sense of dullness, is a sense of sleepiness. So this kind of sleepiness is actually a sign that you've made progress, that you've actually collected the mind. So it's not that the mind is completely collected yet, but now you are collecting, you're actually collecting the mind. So the sign that the sign of sleepiness, and you can feel it in the body. And there's the different elements are also involved. The earth element is involved in here, where the part of consciousness, the part of the mind that is that has been distributed to the earth element of our being is collected back. Because it is being collected back, there's this sense of heaviness. So it's a wonderful sign. And the thing to do, just like you're curious about what is it that the mind is going after when it's being agitated. So have the way to not fight what's happening and yet use it is to be curious about, I wonder what's at the end of this. And so from the very beginning, what allows us to be able to navigate these two rivers, so to speak, where the mind is going to go dull or the mind is going to go become agitated. What allows us to navigate to stay in the middle path is curiosity. Be curious about the experience that you're having, whether it's dullness or whether it's agitation. Be curious about it. Be curious about it in the sense of with the conviction you are going to discover something beautiful about agitation. You're going to discover something beautiful about dullness. Okay, so with that beautiful curiosity, when you're experiencing dullness and you have an understanding, my mind is collecting, my attention is being collected, my consciousness is being collected, all the different previously scattered aspects of my attention are now being collected. And that's why I'm experiencing this dullness. And I'm very, very, very curious to know what's at the end of this. By maintaining this curiosity, it will allow you to go through the dullness experience. So that means if you're experiencing, don't think that you're a bad meditator, okay? It's an actual sign that you're actually making progress. So bring a sense of rejoicing that you're going through this phase that is necessary, and that will connect you with the energy you need to be able to hold attention and not fall prey to the lack of energy that is experienced in the dullness experience itself, okay, in the sleepiness itself. Understand it to be a stage, a phase that you're going through, and be curious about it. And the wonderful thing, especially the dullness, and I'm very, I mean, this is a key, this is a secret key to being able to really make progress with the very things that are experienced as obstacles, where these very things that are experienced as obstacles can actually be a means of actually quickly, fast, deepen your meditation if you use them properly. If you have a proper way of relating with them, proper way of understanding them, they can actually be a very powerful, I'll say a very powerful means of actually being able to go much deeper, much faster in your meditation. So you maintain this just joyful curiosity about the experience that you're having about dullness. And in the same way, where, remember I mentioned with when the sense of possession, where the thought seems to be happening by themselves, that they're happening to you, if you're able to cultivate that experience, now you're able to sort of have a sense of observing the dullness, where you're no longer identifying with the dullness. It's not, I am dull, my mind is dull, but rather there is dullness happening over there, and look at it, and you're curious about it. And as you maintain this curiosity about it, this dullness will actually, because remember, it's the mind collecting, right? It's the mind collecting, attention is collecting. When you are able to maintain the curiosity about the dullness as it is happening, this very curiosity, and you're able to now make the dullness an experience that you are observing happening, that itself will quicken the experience, where you will begin to experience what I refer to as the withdrawals experience. And this is where the meditation is really getting deeper. You're experiencing the withdrawals. And what does it mean you're experiencing the withdrawals? Remember, in the very beginning, our habit of the senses is to just go out. When we are beginning to experience that, now you're in the stage of, you could say, you're more identified with observing experiences rather than being the victim of experiences. Now you're in that phase of experience. You're a witness of experiences. You're the witness. You're the observer. You're not the one who's dull. You're not the one who's agitated. You're experiencing something happening. And because of this curiosity, because of this sense of detachment, it quickens the collecting of attention. And this, how do you experience the quickening of the collecting of experience? Then now there's an energetic experience that is taking place. You may begin to experience the body in a slightly weird way. This is this experience is happening in the same space where my physical body is, but it's not felt in the same way that I remember feeling my body. Okay, so you start having this kind of strange experiences, and this is where it's connected to the senses. Remember, because of habit, we are convinced we need to make contact in order for us to have a sense of fulfillment, a sense of fulfillment of the what defines our being, a sense of connected to what is meaningful, a sense of connection to what is pleasant and satisfying. Now, because of the collecting of attention, we are now removing attention, awareness from being aware through the eyes, being aware through the different senses. We are withdrawing that. And when I say withdrawing that, I mean the capacity to see is being withdrawn. Even if you had your eyes open and meditating, you will be aware that you can't see. You will be aware that you're no longer hearing anything. You will be aware that you're not smelling anything. You will dwell in that awareness that your senses have been withdrawn. So it's not some unconscious thing, you're being knocked out and then therefore you're enlightened because you have no idea what happened. Okay? Forget that. Okay? You are aware that this is what's happening. My senses are withdrawn. And in that stage, even though your eyes are open, you cannot see. You cannot hear. Okay? Because the senses are being withdrawn, attention is being collected. And as this is happening, the experience that the mind is habituated to is something connected to sleep. That's what happens when we fall asleep. The senses get withdrawn. You're sleeping, somebody call your name, you don't hear them. Somebody touch you, you don't feel it, right? What we are habituated to with this experience is this is sleep. So there will be you could say a habitual energy coming up saying, oh, time for sleep. That's what this guy wants. That's what this person wants. So let's get sleep going. And what you need to do is to maintain that curiosity. Oh, look at this. Look how dull my mind is. Look, I can't see. Maintain that curiosity as this is taking place. Then there will be a taking place where you're withdrawn, you've experienced the withdrawal state. And within the withdrawal state, and this withdrawal state started from very early on. Now you're deep into that withdrawal state, right? In that withdrawal state, the mind saying, hey, I need to make contact with something in order to feel fulfilled, in order to be meaningful, in order to be satisfied. That's not what's happening. So now you will go through a phase, and don't get freaked out because I'm using a word, that kind of word. You begin to hallucinate. I'm not talking about your mind is going, okay? The reason I'm calling it hallucination is because very vivid inner experiences start to take place. Some people have firecrackers experience. Some people have a vivid experience of being somewhere. Some people have very, very vivid experience happening to their body, like something is happening to their body, something very vivid, something very palpable, but it's not. This is the phase where the mind being habituated to, hey, my senses got to give me data. Now my senses are not giving me data. I got to create the data. So, and creating data, creating experiences, that's what I'm referring to. Okay, you start to have very vivid experiences. And some people, when they're there, because they have very vivid experiences, they think somehow this is extremely meaningful. It's not necessarily meaningful. Okay, this is just a phase you're going through. Maybe it is, okay, but don't think that it is necessarily every time it happens, there's something extremely meaningful. There's some message there for you that you have to figure out. Not necessarily so. This is you're going through a phase, okay? So what I'm saying is, at the end of the very experience that leads to dullness and sleepiness, if you're able to maintain curiosity, if you're able to have that sense of me, I'm observing the dullness taking place, you will go through consciously to the withdrawal of the senses phase, and then you will find yourself at the end of that entered into a space of pure clarity and luminosity, where now you're in a definite state of consciousness that is a leap, you could say, from the regular consciousness that you were in before. It's like you're in a different country, okay? You're no longer on the border, you're no longer approaching it, where you start to smell the things coming from there, but now you're in that country, in that different country, okay? You're in a different state. You're no longer in a journeying, but before it was a journeying, more of a journeying, more of getting to somewhere. Now you're in a state where you can stay. This is a powerful state to be in, and this has its depth. And in that state, you're able to now, the work that you carry out in this stage, it will be much more powerful than in any of the previous experiences that were before. Okay. So that's where the experience of dullness, if you're able to make use of it properly, if that is your experience, don't try to beat it. Don't try, especially when you've taken care of everything else already. You're taking care of environment, you're taking care of diet, you're taking care of all that kind of stuff. All those things are taken care of, and you're still having an experience of dullness. Then this is an approach where you're not fighting it, but you're actually using it to actually help you get to very deep meditation. Now, as far as the agitation is concerned, part of the experience of dullness where your senses, your mind is recreating data because it feels that it needs data to fulfill it, to be meaningful. So it creates what I'm calling illusions, what I call hallucinations. You see beautiful things, you hear things, or it may not necessarily be beautiful, but they're very vivid. They have that sense that something is happening to you. Okay. So the thing to cultivate here is the sense of witnessing something. That's the sense to cultivate. So don't fight what your mind goes through, but have a sense, you want to always be in the sense of witnessing something. And one trick that you can use is the trick of, you find yourself lost or dragged in a thought, and you're able to now find yourself thinking the thought, and you're able to, when you find yourself in those two stages, whether you're dragged, whether you're thinking the thought, have a sense of throwing the thought ahead of you so you can observe it. Where what you're telling yourself, I'm not going to stop myself from getting engaged in this thought. I'm just going to watch you. Go ahead, thought. Think by yourself. Think yourself. Continue by yourself. And you will have an experience, a split experience of serenity that may not last for too long, but you will have a definite split experience of serenity. Of course, you will lose it because you're not used to it. Now, as soon as you have the split moment of serenity, that is the mind being very stable, not being pushed, not being dragged, try to be as aware of it as possible so the mind become attracted to it. So the mind see, oh, this is something I would like to experience. Look what's in that experience. Remember, being attracted, being interested in something. If there is no conviction in you about something being interesting, then you're going to continue to have agitation and dullness. If you're convinced this is what I need to collect my attention on, but that conviction is not felt deep, but somehow you know this is what you need to direct your attention towards, then you have to go through a process of making it interesting. Like when you witness the mind going towards a particular thing, knowing that it's going there, not just because it's crazy, not just because it's just, has no no sense of itself whatsoever, but understand that it's going up, it believes it's going after something meaningful. It is doing a meaningful, it's doing that in search of meaning. So tell the mind, somehow convince the mind, there's meaning, the meaning that it's looking for in what is distracting it. It can be found in the breath. It can be found in counting, whatever it is that you're doing, in the mantra, in whatever it is that you are convinced would be a wonderful thing to collect the mind around. Okay. Now, this is when you're actually sitting down, where these two things that you encounter and understanding that their presence is not necessarily that you are a failure, but rather they are signs of progress on how you experience them. But outside of sitting meditation, the habit of how we live also will affect. So the meditation will affect our life, our everyday life, and our everyday life also affects the meditation. And the part of the everyday life that we sort of touched upon is, okay, the kind of everyday life that we touched upon is diet, exercise, and all that kind of stuff, because these are things that we do. Okay, so it's not only diet, exercise, but everything that we do. Every time we are aware of the kind of environment that we are encouraging in our mind, the kind of emotion that we are invoking and entertaining and nourishing, that will determine also how much this habit of being distracted is enforced or lessened. And it begins by simply being mindful. You don't necessarily have to have the initial intention, I'm going to destroy this distraction business and going on in my mind. What people be doing? I'm going to stop this nonsense. Okay. If you are the type where that actually works for you, fine. But if you're not the type where this may not work for you, so don't take that approach. That's not necessarily the only approach to be able to deal with this. Okay. Remember, we are in. If we accept what the beautiful rabbi said, we are in the stage. We are transitioning to cooperation. We're not the king of them, ordering them around. We're not their parent ordering them around, nor are they our king, nor are they our parent, but rather we are participating in this system called us. Okay. They have, and we begin to understand that they have their purposes. Okay. And sometimes they are misdirected because of our misunderstanding, but it doesn't mean just because they're misdirected that they're necessarily or not shouldn't be there. And I'm talking about what we refer to as the kleshas. Okay. The earlier version of the king or of the parent is to bad. I gotta straighten you up, but rather to understand that they are playing a role. Your anger has an important role to play. It has a certain energy that you need to tap into. And the thing is to go in there with understanding and with wisdom, with cooperation. Then we can use our anger skillfully. And the same thing with all those things that attachment and all those kinds of things. Attachment is a way of connecting us to what we are convinced is for our good. So it's a capacity to be able to do that, to sort of link ourselves, to connect. When it is misguided, when it is misdirected, we connect with this energy of connecting. We're connecting to things that are dysfunctional, to things that are harming us when we think that they're not. So this capacity to be attached is a capacity to connect. When it is guided by wisdom, then it is no longer dysfunctional. Then it is playing its role, its proper role. Okay. So if we have this attitude with all the things that are going on in our minds, the things that we're calling obstacles, okay, understand that they're just playing their part, playing their role. They may have been misdirected, but it doesn't mean that they're not supposed to exist whatsoever. Okay. So have that attitude, not only when you're sitting down to meditate, but also in your life. And I'm not talking about in terms of there's some sort of cosmic mission that you have to fulfill. That's why this person is in your life, or that's why this person is no longer need to be in your life. I'm not getting into that kind of stuff because I don't know anything about those kind of cosmic stuff. Okay. But how we react towards others, how they react towards us, the kind of reaction that we have, they have a mission to fulfill for us. And when we allow them to fulfill their mission with wisdom, not only not only do we evolve, but also the very fact that we evolve help everyone else evolve also. Okay. So be at first, just be mindful without the parent or without the king kind of attitude, but the the attitude of cooperation, the attitude of wanting to understand what's going on, rather than enforcing what your convictions onto the different parts of the system, but rather approach it with wanting to understand, without passing judgment. And you will discover very beautiful things, and especially in relationships, you will discover very beautiful things, even if there is antagonism in the relationship. Not that you should bash the sense of antagonism. It's there showing something. There's a wisdom in there, but it doesn't necessarily mean that we have to end up destroying each other. But if we understand, there's some sort of validness to why this person behave or think this way. It might be misdirection, but the intention of going towards something is nothing inherently wrong with it. Okay, and you may find that someone who was on the opposite side of you actually is just has a different way of presenting your very own opinion, your very own stance, your very own ideas, your very own convictions. Okay. And when you say something to them and they get very upset, it's because you touch something in them that you yourself, in a way, would be upset if it was said just a different way. But it could be the very same concern that you have. Like, you both love people, but you have different ways of expressing that love. But the love is there, okay, as an example. So the way agitation and dullness takes place outside the meditation is the same. You have to understand it's the same thing. It's the same thing. It's the same thing taking place. And we have to go back to the very, very, very simple instruction of the Buddha to the disciple, where he said, "You just lack interest. You're not really interested in it." So if you find yourself being dulled and you in something, you have not generated, you have not contrived, you have not created the interest to summon the energy to keep you awake. Okay. Or maybe your system is telling you, "This is, get away from this thing. You don't really want this. Okay. You don't really want this." And the system is telling you, "This is it." Okay. The conviction that we have arrived at, this is not fulfilling it. And here you are wasting time in it. And because of that, I'm going to take energy from you. I'm not going to give you access to your energy. Okay. And you experience dullness. Okay. And the same thing with agitation. Understand the nature of it. The mind is seeking something that it believes is worthy and meaningful. So when you notice that, just have that. Okay. One last thing before we end, because oh boy, oh boy, did I really talk? Oh boy. Things like anxiety, things like worry. The approach to take is that understand that the system is set, and I'm going to use a very new agey term, okay? I'm using it, but I'm not meaning exactly what they mean in the new agey thing. It's just that it's very appropriate to use now. Everything that we experience is for our evolution. Worrying is for our evolution, okay? Anxiety is for our evolution. And what we have to understand is there might be misdirection, misuse of the very thing that our evolution provides us. Okay, so the thing to do is not to want to run away from it, but rather be curious about the message that it has for us. Okay, what is it seeking to protect us from? What is it that is telling us that we are lacking? What is it that is telling us that is not supposed to be here that is here? What is it? What is it? What is it that's trying to communicate to us? Let us be so in tune with all the different parts of us that there's no sense of any part of us being an enemy. Okay, that we're all here for one purpose, for our evolution. Okay, all the parts of us. Okay, I think I'll end right here because I really ran out of time. Woo! I hope what was said had some practical meaning for you, some practical use for you, and that you can actually begin to apply it, right? So I open the floor for questions, comments, anything that was left out.
Hey, Phuntsok.
Yes, hey.
I have a question on, I'm sorry, I'm just opening I wrote it down.
Okay.
I think I was really interested when you spoke about the contrived sense of interest that we have.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I think in my own meditation, I do find that focusing on the breath does get a bit boring after some time.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd like you to elaborate on how you can cultivate that interest so that you can focus more on your breath. I know you gave some examples, but I think I'd like maybe something that's more related to, like an example that's more related to like a physical daily life situation where you're uninterested. Mm-hmm. How would you deal with a lack of interest in a situation, and how would you build up interest?
Mm-hmm. Okay. So we have what you might call an intellectual understanding of something, where it seems to be correct, it seems to be right, it seems to be the direction we should go to. But the reason we call it intellectual is because it's not embodied. It's because somehow it's in the surface. It's somewhere up there. It's not really something that is in us that we haven't yet embodied. But there is a sense that it may have some importance for us, right? That's why we say we have an intellectual understanding of something, but not yet embodied, right? So you have this object, whatever it may be, the breath in your meditation or something, and intellectually we have come to some sort of conclusion that this is important. But to understand that the sense of importance is just intellectual, it's just surface, it's not embodied. And what we need to do is to make the sense of importance an embodied importance. And how we get there, and when I'm saying contrived, I'm not using contrived as some sort of negative, in a negative way, but to understand that is the very nature of everything, every experience that we have. Somehow we contrive them, and we arrive at a point where the way we experience them, this is real. This is really happening. It's happening to me. Okay, but the thing is, it came into that experience of being real through contriving, and the way to arrive at contrived, the process of contriving, is to constantly, and this is the actual process that takes place, whether this is something that's happening unconsciously, but this is the process itself, whether it's conscious or unconscious. This is the process. It's constantly revisit, oh, this is important. Why? Because of this and that. And not just not just using words in your mind, this is important and this is why, but rather try to connect to the feeling of this is important. And that's how you begin to embody it. That's how it begins to bring it into the body. The entire part of you is participating in seeing, yes, this is interesting. So you made the intellectual connection. And after you made the intellectual connection, then you try to connect with the emotional connection towards it. And that's how we begin to embody it. And when we say, this is important, as soon as we say it, what's the feeling that comes when we say this is important? Perhaps when we are doing that, if we can't find any way of tapping into some kind of emotional connection toward, to begin that embodied process, then perhaps the sense of lack of interest is our communication. Hey, this is not important for us. It's not important for you to be interested in this. Go somewhere else. Where, what's the point of it? What's the purpose? To fulfill the definition of your being. Okay. This is not going to fulfill that for us. Okay. When you go into the contriving process. Now, if you stay with it, with the contriving process, and you're diligent with it, you will arrive at contrived, where it becomes embodied. And just because something is embodied, so doesn't necessarily mean it is something that is for our benefit, that is for our evolution. We have embodied so many different things that are actually destroying us. But to understand that the process itself, whether it is embodying something that will destroy us or something embodying something that will elevate us, the process is the same. Constantly revisiting. This is important. This is why it's important, and really feel the emotion connected to that. Okay. So as an example, I don't know if you asked for example, the breath. An example of the breath, when the breath becomes boring, it's to completely dispense all conceived ideas about what the breath is supposed to be. Dispense that. The breath is in and out. Completely let go of that. And approach the breath with a curiosity that somehow it will reveal itself to you. And whatever you are at the very beginning able to experience in connection with the breath, the sensation of the warmth, the sensation of the coolness. Oh, wow, look at that. There's warmth, there's coolness. And the wow is contrived in the way we understand contrived. It may not necessarily be wow, but it's wow because, oh, look at that. This is an experience that is happening right here, right now. And you have accompanying that, I wonder what next. I wonder what else I'm able to experience with the breath. And you keep that open mind towards the breath. And that open mind will collect attention towards the breath, seeking to investigate, seeking to discover. And as soon as you discover anything, because that was the intention, that was the aim, simply discover whatever it is. The out breath is longer than the in-breath is longer than the out-breath. Oh, I've just discovered that. And just the fact of having discovered will energize you, will energize the sense of interest, the sense of curiosity, being able to collect more. Oh, come on, guys, come attention, come see what I'm discovering here. And you find yourself being interested in the breath. And then you will indeed begin to discover things connected with the breath that you would not be aware of if you were not so focused. And because you're discovering things, the new and new things, the sensations, what's happening to your mind because you're aware of the breath this way, what's happening to your body because you're aware of the breath in this way. And then you continue to go deeper and deeper until you discover a dimension of the breath that is completely different than the obvious dimension that we are aware of the breath. Okay, so that will be an example of how to have this contrived with the breath. And as far as anything else that goes on in your life is about, you can sort of bring the sense of curiosity. If you have the intellectual, have the sense of, yeah, it's important, then you can have a sense of curiosity, a sense of wanting to discover. And just the mere discovery of it. It doesn't necessarily, it's not what you're discovering, but just the fact that you discover something that will collect more and then begin to create more and more of interest. I hope that was not too much and I was enough.
I'll look at it again, but thank you. My second question was, in your early stages of meditation, mm-hmm. Is it better to focus on one practice or to try out different types of meditations?
Yeah, so there's kind of two things that you're saying there. in the very early stage of meditation, that when you just being introduced to meditation, and you want to become accustomed to the practice, that early stage of meditation, try as many different things as possible. And as you're trying them, keep that curiosity to see how you are responding to this meditation, to that meditation. Okay. And once you've settled, okay, I think it's this meditation I should focus on. And now that's another, you could say, a beginning stage of meditation. And now once you have made up your mind with that, then you stick with this. And how long this period of curiosity, this period of trying different things, maybe it could be a year, it could be even longer, because there are so many different forms of meditation. But the thing is to understand that you must have the approach towards them, a sort of universal approach towards them, where you're curious about them, using them to access the meditation state. Okay.
Thank you.
And you may even end up with something that was completely not in your mind, or even something that you thought was just not part of for you at all. And you say, oh, wow, this is the thing that really helps me access those states. And you stay with that. Okay, thank you. Yes, someone else is going to ask a question? Yes.
Yes, Phuntsok. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Good to see you.
Thank you. I want to share a little bit, not to share, but I want to repeat the understanding I get from the class. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure I can apply it correctly. So in my view, in my experience with meditation, the best way is where what you were saying about the Buddha to the student that said, I mean, you don't have clarity, or you are not very interested in what you want. Mm-hmm. And the other way, I mean, the other option is if you are not very interested in what you want, then you end up with all these distractions and all the path that you just described, the different stages. Is that right?
No, the dullness and the agitation are present when they become very heavy. It's because of a lack of interest. Once you strengthen the interest in whatever it is that you're meditating on, then go to the journey where the experience of dullness and the experience of agitation begin to evolve. When they're not evolving, when they're just gross, where the grossness means you're always dragged around, right? Or you find yourself constantly actively invoking them, right? It's because of a lack of interest. And when the interest becomes sharp, then the dullness does not become a distraction, but a journey to deeper meditation. And the capacity of agitation, where you have an experience of witnessing, becomes very sharpened. It becomes a journey also, okay? Because interest has been, or you could say, almost perfected. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the way that you should, I mean, for me, is that like a shortcut? Mm-hmm. Like that will be the best way to go, just to be clear about your real interest, and just focus on that, so you avoid all, you know, the distractions and all the rest of the process.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be you know, that way, or
oh yeah.
I mean, because so in my experience, when things get good results, is because I have a very intense pressure and urgency to solve the problem, or to know an answer, or to do something. So that's I think that
that's the
the
interest.
clarity about that you are interested in the result.
Yeah.
And then most
Yeah.
of the time, I'm like, okay, whatever. If it's chocolate, it's chocolate. If it's banana, it's banana. I mean, so
yeah.
So how can you, you know, sharp that, or how can you, you know, perfection one of the processes?
Well, the interest, like for you could be interested, you could have a somewhat superficial interest in something, and it's not embodied, it's not deep, and because of that, you will find yourself beginning the initial stages of it, but because your interest is not embodied, it's not deep, then eventually you will lose energy. So in a sense, holding on to embodied interest in something, you're interested in something, holding on to that is holding on to whatever the energy you need for the journey. When you have it, it's clear, you're very interested in it, then there is no struggle. You will go through the very evolved stages of dullness, what is referred to as dullness and what is referred to as agitation, the sense of observing, a sense of senses withdrawn. You will go through that, but it will not be distraction anymore, but rather a part of the process. Now, if your interest is not deep, it's not embodied, then what you need to do, you need to contrive it. You need to find a way of making it embodied.
Okay.
Okay. If you've made up your mind that it is something that you should be interested in. Okay. Like I should be interested in taking care of my diet, right? And if it's just over there, I should be interested in my diet. It's not really something I'm convinced in. It's not really I'm really interested in, but there's some interest. So I would find myself, going back and forth, being distracted from what I'm supposed to be doing. I will distract myself. My mind will go somewhere, and when I'm engaging it, I will lose energy. I will not have the energy to engage it. That's the dullness with it. That's the life part of it. But if I keep going back, listening to Geneva, for example, telling me these are the benefits. This is why you need this. This is why you need that. Oh yeah. This is what my distraction of agitation is actually trying to get to. It's right there in the proper diet. And this is what this is the energy that I'm seeking. It's in this. And then that's contriving. And eventually you arrive at a point where you say, oh yeah, now the interest in diet is embodied. And because of that, now I'm not struggling with running after being distracted anymore, because I'm going to go in that direction.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, guys, very sorry. It's way past the time. I guess I surprised myself how much I talked. So I'm gonna, if you have a question, you can email me, pressing, or maybe there was something that could be part of another topic, something coming from this that could be a topic in itself for us to discuss next time. You can request that. Okay. So sorry for those of you who wanted to say something, I didn't have a chance to. So next time. All right. So let's get ready to do our closing meditation. And thank you, everybody. All right. So we're gonna do the kind of meditation that we have been doing to close. And as some of you have sensed, there's a reason why we end the meditation this way. Okay, we are building something much larger than just us. Okay, not that I have any understanding what I'm saying. Okay, so we're going to do it faster than normal. So as you are thinking about the state of meditation you were in, how it felt in your body, how it felt in your mind, how your breath behaved, allow yourself to go into that recalling of it, so you begin to re-experience it. Yeah, my legs felt that way, my body felt that way, my breath was that way, my mind was that way. There was that kind of quiet, there was that kind of pleasantness, there was that kind of inner sensations. And you make contact with it, you feel it somewhat, what you might call energetically. So we will make the commitment to enter with the full breath in through the nose, gently, fully breathe in. And through the mouth, completely release. And let go, let go, let go, let go. Let yourself go into that space. Let go, let go, let go. Let yourself go into that space of calm. Let go, let go, let go. Stay in that momentum. Leave the breath alone and continue to stay in that momentum of letting go, going deeper into that calm, going deeper into that pleasantness, going deeper into that clarity, going deeper into that radiance, going deeper into that sense of collecting of attention. Keep letting go, keep letting go, keep letting go. Now stabilize yourself, rejoicing, connecting with the signs, whether they appear in the body, the breath, or the mind. Now wherever you are, whether you're in a closet somewhere, forget about that. Forget about all limitations of space and time, and see us, all of us, in that space, not squishing each other, very comfortable, not having shrunk, not having expanded. We're all comfortably there, sitting in a circle. And in the very center, there's this bright presence. It is the collective us. And we are connected to it through a beam of light coming from our hearts to its heart. And through that beam of light, we empower it with our qualities. It empowers us. It's a cooperation. And it begins to expand, taking more space, taking more space. The more space it takes, the more you relax. The more space it takes, the deeper you go into the calm, the pleasantness, the clarity, the radiance, until it has expanded where we are all completely absorbed into its light. And the calm becomes calmer, the pleasantness becomes more pleasant, the clarity becomes clearer, the luminosity becomes more radiant. And it continues to expand, taking into its luminous appearance everything, all objects, all beings, continues to expand. The entire home, house, building, the entire neighborhood, the entire city, the entire state, the entire country, the entire continent, the entire earth. And if you want to expand further, let it expand however, to whatever limit you wish, until everything that it's absorbed is us. The rivers are us, the mountains, the skies, the clouds, the trees, the grass, the crawling things, the flying things, the hopping things, every being, every person, they're us. Just like the foot is us, it's not other. And the hand will take care of the foot will take care of the hand. So in the same way, we feel towards all those different aspects which are but expressions of us. And stay in that recognition. This is us. Especially if there is a group of people or a group of something or something that you have difficulty in incorporating, keep seeing them there and keep reminding yourself, this is us. In a palpable way, the hands have concern for the suffering of the foot. In the same palpable way, the hand is connected to the foot. We feel that concern for every part of us, for the rivers, for the oceans. For all life. And keeping that sense, now that bright presence being is now beginning to contract. And as it contracts, it leaves behind whatever the cloud, the mountains, the beings, the other peoples, and that there are grace with that sense of us, that light of us, until it goes back to being a bright presence in our center. And we feel the sense of us still with us. Feeling that sense of us still with us, then it now dissolves into multiple rays of light going into each one of us. And as a result of that, in our own individuality, we feel this is us. And get ready to come out of the meditation. First, feeling the sense of the meditation. As you feel the sense of the meditation, know its signature. This is the signature of your meditation. It could be more towards a sense of calm, towards a sense of peace, towards a sense of pleasure, towards a sense of joy, whatever it is for you. It could be more energy. Stay connected with it by being aware of it. Rejoice. And that's the merit you're sensing, dedicated to whatever concerns you may have for yourself, for an individual, for a group, for all of the above. Make your dedication by the power of the merit of this. May all beings complete whatever it is that they need to complete, so they see themselves perfect in body and mind, in wisdom and compassion. And get ready to come out of the meditation. Make that intention to come out. And with that intention, through the breath, make that sign, the commitment, so to speak. Take a nice deep breath. Feel it, hear it in through the nose, out the mouth. and deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings, reconnect through your sense of touch, being aware of the temperature, the feel of the clothing, the cushion under you, the support that you're having. Be aware of the different sounds around you. Be aware of the different colors, the different shapes, the different lights, the different shades. Thank you very much. Oh, excuse me.
Thank you, Phuntsok. That class was a journey I did not expect. Guys, I just put some links in the chat if you're able to donate and support these classes to keep going. Yeah, I'm so excited for it. There's also a link to Phuntsok's Patreon page. The classes are recorded and it'll be up there tomorrow morning. And I guess we'll see everybody in 2 weeks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.